Alrighty. I know you can see my slide. We finished chapter 5 yes last week. We're going to start here with chapter 6. And the title of chapter 6 of the book is called the Godfathers. And pretty much what Rasmus tried to do in chapter 6 here is extract from the people who led the different gold mine points, different gold mines, what really they thought was the reason for the high performance they saw in those places. What was the high performance for the soccer, high performance for the lawn tennis, high performance in playing golf, high performance in athletics, long distance, athletics race, just try to pick from the heads of those who led those gold mines, what they thought was a reason for their success, and trying to extract from that what we can take to apply in the different areas of our lives. That's pretty much what chapter 6 gave to us. You know, so the quote that pretty much runs through the whole of chapter 6 is one by Paul Evans, and it says effectiveness is inherently paradoxical. Effectiveness is inherently paradoxical, meaning that there are two or more conflicting principles that make it happen. It is inherently paradoxical. So let's look at the two principles that are paradoxical that make it work. It says to be effective, a leader must possess attributes that are contradictory. Must have attributes that are contradictory, even mutually exclusive. So, for me, just like I was sharing with my friend this morning, too much of anything is bad. Jim C. Collins in his books, taught us the principle about the genius of the and the tyranny of the all. The all O-R-E is an infantile proposition. People think is it this or that, but the genius steps back and say, why does it have to be this or that? Why not this and that? That's a higher proposition. That's a proposition that comes when you think, rather than you are reactive about life. So effectiveness, requires you not just to be one-way traffic, just react. Effectiveness involves you needing to step back and ask yourself the question, what can I do? What can I not do? What is available to me? How best can I use the things that are available to me? It doesn't go through a tunnel vision, just speaks what the person and speaks, things in just one direction. For you to be effective, you cannot go into a rat hole. You cannot go in a tunnel vision. You have to step back and ask yourself, step out of the frame, to see the picture clearly. Because for as long as you're in the picture, you cannot see the frame. If you're in the picture, you cannot see the frame. You are lost, you're lost in the small details that you cannot be strategic about it. And I like to give an example. Most times I talk about this as per when I built my first house. But when I built my first house, I was involved in everything. I was involved in everything. I pretty much designed the house. I pretty much provided the finance. I pretty much designed the house. I pretty much was there supervising every little detail of the work that's been done. I was there when we poured the cement for the foundation, when we did the decking. I was just too much involved in the weeds that I lost sight of the strategy of the building itself. I was so much involved in the small detail that I lost sight of the big details, right? So that's why I don't do my farm, any other business I do today, I don't get too much involved in the weeds, because as the owner of the business, I am responsible for the strategy. If I get too involved in the weeds, I lose my place as the owner of the business. The owner of the business, no other person can do the strategy like I can do. I am the one bringing in the finance. I'm the visionaire, right? So therefore, I own the strategy, right? The tactical issues, the tactical details. I can pay salaries and wages for other people to do that. but I cannot pay salaries and wages for someone to take responsibility of the strategy because I own the strategy. I am the leader. I am the leader. Irrespective of the fact that I get consultants, some people know some things more than I do. None of them can replace me as a leader because I am the visionaire. I'm the founder. I own the core of the business. I own the direction of the business. Every other person is just coming to spend time with me. They're like visitors, who at one point in time will go away. They are sojourning with me as passengers and the boss. I own the boss, right? So for me to be effective in the ride, I must not be lost in the frame. I must every now and then step out of the frame to be able to see the whole picture, right? So that's what is being said here. That's the strategy. There's long term, and there's strategy. There's tactical. There's long term, there's short term. Someone's got to be able to see the company in 10 years' time. Someone's got to be able to see a company in 5 years' time. Someone's gonna be able to see the company in 1 year's time. Yet someone's supposed to see the company in 1 month and every day, right? I can pay people to see the 1 month. I can pay people to see the every day, but I hold the 1 year. I hold the 5 years. I hold the 10 years. I hold the strategy. I hold the long term. So it needs a bit of everything. It's like the ingredients in the soup. It's not just the meat that makes the soup. It's not just the pepper that makes the soup. It's not just the salt that makes the soup. It's not just the onions that make the soup. It's put having every little ingredients that is required in the right quantity and in the right place and in the right time, makes the soup. So if you're going to be effective, you need to know the various elements that will help you to become the best in whatsoever it is that you have set your mind to do. And be careful that you allow each of those elements in the right quantity, at the right placing, at the right time. Right? That's what we're going to see in the whole of chapter 6. All right. So we go on and we'll say leadership is paradoxical. Just to continue with what Evans had said, a great leader, for him to be a true leader, must be able to build close relationship, but be able to keep at a suitable distance. A leader needs to be close but far, close but far. When we come to our relationship with God, God is a God that is near, yet is our Father in heaven. It's near, but it's our Father in heaven. It's near enough for us to feel His warmth. It's far away for us to understand that He's our Father. He's our Creator. We don't get too cozy with Him that we lose our reverence for Him. Don't get too far away from Him that will lose our relationship with Him. The crying of our heart saying, Abba Father, Abba Father, Abba Father. But you don't get so comfortable with the Abba Father that you begin to abuse your relationship with Him. Same thing we all got to do, in different places of leadership. You're close to the people for them to see that you're human, but you don't get so close that they forget that you are the boss, that they begin to treat you as the same level as them, such that they disrespect your authority, they disrespect your placing, they disrespect the requirements of your job. So it's an healthy balance. It's an healthy balance. It's not a one-way traffic. It's an healthy balance, close enough for them to see that you're human, and you see them, you understand them, far enough for them to know that they're answerable to you, right? So it's not a one-way traffic. Some people miss it. It has a bit of a strategy to playing that. It's an act of life. It's not a one-way traffic. You don't just learn it. I mean, you don't just buy it in a market. You learn it by practice. You learn it by practice. Knowing when to be soft, when to be hard, when to be close, when to give some distance. It's an act of leadership. It's an act of life. You learn it by doing it, right? So leaders also lead from the front, yet hold themselves in the background. You lead the peoples enough to You go in front of them, you lead them such a way that you kill their fear to say that you are in it with them. At the same time, you don't be too much available that they feel incapacitated, they feel useless in themselves. You lead them to break new grounds, but at the same time you stay in the back and let them run things themselves. Let them learn, let them grow their own leadership capacity also, right? A good leader does not raise followers, they raise leaders. You help them to take up a challenge of the job and become leaders themselves. You help them to make mistakes, yeah, but you guide them such that they don't make terrible mistakes that are irreparable. You help them that they can grow as they open themselves, as they take risk, albeit not too big a risk, but risk that can easily be corrected. You help them to become comfortable in that which they are doing. You open the door for them, but you let them go. But as they are going, you don't stay too far so that they don't make the mistakes that will kill them. Right? So, all right, a leader also is in control at all times, but trust their people to be willing to relinquish some of the control to them, right? You are always overlooking, the whole business. At the same time, you are not micromanaging your people. You allow them to blossom. You allow them to do the things their own self to grow. You give them room to grow. You trust them. You trust them. Yeah, albeit when that trust is abused, you are there to correct it, either by taking away, by taking away the privilege, or helping the person to see what went wrong and giving the person maybe another chance. But you don't become so exposed that you are taken out of the business. You manage the responsibilities to give to people as they prove themselves, right? So it's that place of being in control of where we are, and knowing the things to the allowance to give to people just to give them room to grow themselves, right? You don't micromanage, but you still stay on top of your business, right? So a leader is visionary, but they keep their feet on the ground, right? You are the one that knows the 1 year plan, the 5 year plan, the 10 year plan. But at the same time, even though you are not too involved, in the everyday plan, you don't you are not lost in what they are doing. You have an idea of what is being done, and when things are amiss, you know when to step in. You are the visionary, but you don't lose sight, of what makes the big vision. As much as you have the 1 month plan, you have the 1 year plan, you don't let the 1 day plan go so much astray that you are not going to achieve the 1 month plan. As you don't get too much involved in the everyday plan, but you are checking to be sure that they have the right direction, right? They are not moving anti the plan of the 1 month, because if they're anti on the day, you will not get it on the month, right? The days sum up to the month sum up to the year, the 1 year sums up to the 5 year, the 5 year sums up to the 10 year. So you're in control of the direction of your company and the people that are working for you, right?